Hi everyone, welcome to another Rider Pilates session. We're focusing on your low back and pelvis control today. Absolutely key for developing that crucial dynamic stability through here to enable you to sit better with your horse. This is going to be a great session if you're trying to improve your sitting trot or if you're working at increasing the collection work that you are doing with your horse. You will spot, if you haven't already spotted already, that I have got this block here. You don't need to have a block quite like mine. If you do, fantastic. Otherwise, just go get yourself a thick cushion. You'll need it at the end of the session for just one or two little exercises. So if you need to, pause now, pop and get that, and then rejoin when you have got your block or cushion. Okay, so let's get going. And I'd like you to start off just checking your posture is great with that nice elasticated spine feeling, just reaching you up tall into the ceiling. Then make sure your shoulders are relaxed back and down so you're open across the front of your chest. And then I'd like you to think about your neck. We're going to start with some tucks and turns. So little tuck in with the chin, give yourself as many double chins as you can. Keep those double chins as you turn to one side and keep them as you turn to the other side. You should find, if you're doing this, that you don't look all the way over your shoulder. If you can look all the way over your shoulder, you've lost the tuck. So keep that little tuck all the way through the turns. This is such a key exercise for strength in your deep neck muscles, and that is really going to help if you suffer from wobbly head syndrome. You know, when you're doing sitting trot and you see the head going like that. Obviously a lot of control around here required for that too, but you need the strength in your neck as well. Okay, let's move on to your bow and arrow. So we need to have one foot in front of the other. Make sure those headlights are pointing straight ahead. Bring your hands up in front. You're bringing one hand to your shoulder, turn and look back, and then face the front. We're going to do the same the other way. So hand to the shoulder, turn, and face the front. Keep your headlights forwards all the time. Try to feel you've got equal weight through your feet all the time. Also be aware of the hand that's staying to the front and try to make sure it stays to the front and doesn't follow you round. Okay, let's swap and go the other way. So put the other foot in front, exactly the same thing. Headlights forwards, hands up, one hand back and into that turn to the front, and the same the other way. We'll do one more each way. Last one. Okay, bring your arms back down by your side, feet back underneath you, and we're going to do a tricky exercise. I'd like you to think about turning your pelvis. So you're going to be turning your headlights from side to side. So imagine if you're carrying a water bucket and you're just spinning it using the handle. You want to get your shoulders pointing straight ahead. So it's just your pelvis that's on the move. This is really quite tricky. I always find when I'm doing this in a class, I can see people's mouths joining in as your brain is trying to frantically isolate that movement down to your pelvis. But this is so key. When you think, our horses don't just move forwards and backwards, they move left, right. So our pelvis needs to be able to move both sides as well. Okie doke. Let's have you now to the end of your mat with your feet together and your knees nice and soft. Hands on the front of your thighs, tuck your chin into your chest, and you're sliding your hands down, curling up through your spine as best as you can. Pause for a nice big breath in at the bottom. Breathe out, slide your hands up, tuck down with your pelvis, then you're uncurling through your spine. Back up through your neck, and your chin is the last bit to come up. And again, chin into your chest, sliding your hands down, trying to visualise every single vertebra moving one at a time. Breathe in, breathe out, tuck down with your pelvis, and you're visualising, feeling every single vertebra through your low back, mid back, upper back, neck and chin. One more time, chin into your chest. And again, you're curling up really, really tight. Nice breath in at the bottom. Breathe out and bend your knees. We're going to go down onto your mat. We're starting off on your side. Oh, I've got little Auntie's come to join me. I don't think he wants to join with Pilates really. We're going to do your side bend. So you need to be on your side, legs in that capital L position. So straight line from shoulders, headlights to knees, knees bent at 90 degrees. Ideally, you're propped up on your forearm. If that's not comfortable, you can go flat and do the arm and leg variations from flat, but you just don't get quite the same value to some of the inputs of the exercise. Top arm onto your top side, pelvic floor onto floor 3, lifting your pelvis as you take your top arm over your head, and then bringing them back down together. So you're synchronising that lift and synchronising that lower, looking to be smooth on the way up and smooth on the way down. This is a really good exercise for, once again, working on that ability to move your pelvis from side to side, move your low back from side to side. It's not all about just forwards and backwards, bending and straightening. If this is easy, float your top leg, and you can do it with the top leg elevated. Keep that breathing and try to keep the pelvic floor onto floor 3. And if that's easy, you can add in straightening that top leg. So we're just upping the control side of this now. Really focusing on your ability to move your low back and pelvis in a smooth, controlled manner wherever you want to do it. Let's do 2 more this way. Last one. Okie doke. Come back down onto your mat with your knees in front of you and your arms in front of you. And we're going to do your open arms, taking your top hand up and out behind. Look at your hand all the way. And then over back in front. Keep your knees pressed into the floor as you go. If you find that you need to hold that stretch position, by all means go for it. Particularly if you're doing this first thing in the morning or straight after work. Sometimes you just really need to hold that position, even at any positional habits you've got. And we'll do 1 more. Okay, we're now going to turn onto your back, and we're going to start with your shoulder bridge. So no head rests, and bring your feet a little bit closer into your bottom than you think that you need to do. You need to have them. Check your feet and knees are approximately hip width apart. Then think pelvic floor onto floor 3. Roll your back into the mat so you're imprinting your low back into the floor, and then you're peeling up each vertebra one at a time until you get to the top of your shoulder bridge. You want it to be a straight line, shoulders, headlights to knees. You don't want to be arched up through here. All that does is just lock you up through your low back. So straight line, make sure you can breathe at this point before you come back down, imprinting at the bottom. And as you're peeling up and laying back down again, really channel that feeling of your spine being like a string of pearls or a bicycle chain, so that each vertebra, as much as possible, as best as you can, is moving independently, moving individually. So it's like a lovely chain effect. And I find it really helpful when I'm first get on the horse, particularly if I'm schooling, to just walk around, maybe on a long rein, and just really feel that this is what's happening through my back, particularly my low and mid back, making sure that every single vertebra is moving nice and freely and independently, so I can really move with the horse. Okay, the next one you do, you're going to stay up at the top, keep in that position, straight line, shoulders, headlights to knees, and have a go at some of those hip dips. So you're lowering one side of your pelvis, back up, and lowering the other side and back up. Always keeping the still side of the pelvis completely still, so you're just moving that one side. Try to keep your knees still as well, so they're not waving around, wobbling around as you go. And we're just continuing that theme that we started right back at the beginning, of making sure that your pelvis can move equally left and right. So it's not just about that forwards and back movement, it's about the left and right movements as well. We're going to come on to that a little bit more in just a minute. Try to make sure that you're still breathing. If you can do your pelvic floor whilst you're doing this, then even better. Do 1 more each way. And then you're going to bring yourself back down, every single vertebra imprinting, and then to neutral. We're now going to pop onto the side that you've not yet been on. And we're going to start once again with your side bend. So exactly the same as with the other side. If you can, prop up onto your forearm. Otherwise, go flat and just do the arm and leg variations. You want that straight line, shoulders, headlights, knees, knees at 90 degrees. pelvic floor onto floor 3, then we're lifting the top arm as you lift your pelvis and bringing both back down together. Looking for that lovely, smooth, fluid movement. Remember, everything we do when we're in the saddle, unless you're doing something like a great big pony club kick because your horse is suddenly napping, you want to be keeping everything smooth. It's all about smooth, precise and controlled. Let's lift that top leg if you want to make it harder. So again, we're looking to really control that sideways movement of our low back and pelvis. I think also this isn't just about flat work, maybe not at this speed, but if you jump, if your horse runs out, this is the sort of movement that happens to your body, not quite in this position obviously, I'm on the ground, but that sideways movement is what happens to your body. Let's add in the leg if you want to, still with that synchronization, still with the control. So if you want to avoid falling off when your horse suddenly ducks out sideways or spooks sideways, you actually need to have really good control through this kind of movement as well. Let's do a couple more this way. Super. Okay, knees in front, arms in front, and we're going to do your open arms once again. So top arm up and out behind, and over back in front. Make sure you're lifting your hand all the way through. That means you move all of your spine. Keeping your knees pressed into the floor. That way you anchor your pelvis. So the last couple we've been moving the pelvis, this time you're anchoring the pelvis and making sure that movement comes through your spine. Once again, if you want to hold this position, go for it. This is also a really good exercise. If you find that you get stiff in this movement, it's a really good one for assessing as you start to loosen up, because you'll find that your arm suddenly or gradually starts to go further and further. So it's a really nice one to self-assess with. Lovely job. Okay, we're going to come up now so that we are sitting, and this is where you need to have your little block or cushion. So get me onto mine. And I would like you to be sitting cross-legged. Hopefully your floor is flat. My lawn, as always, is not quite flat, but we will go with it. Okay, I'd like you to sit cross-legged if you can. If it's not comfortable, frog's legs or straight in front is absolutely fine. But if you can sit cross-legged, that would be really, really good. Okay, you can have your hands wherever it feels comfortable, on your knees, across your chest, go for it. If you want to really challenge yourself, you can have a go at holding your hands if you're holding your reins. And we're just going to practice doing some pelvic tilts, rocking backwards and forwards. And I'd like you to really focus now on keeping your upper body really, really still. So this is what we've been building up to. This is exactly what I do when I first get on the horse when I'm schooling. That feeling of making sure that my mid, low back, my pelvis, all that area is moving freely, each vertebra in turn, but the whole area is on the move, moving forwards and backwards with the horse. And I'd like you to think, as you haven't got a horse underneath you at the moment, think about the pressure through your seat bones, making sure that it's really equal, left and right, so you're not loading one side more than the other. If you've got your hands up, make sure they're soft and you've really got that feeling of carrying your hands. We're now going to make this a little bit harder. What I'd like you to do is to rock back onto one side, come up, and rock back onto the other side and come up. So you're not just rocking from side to side, that's completely different. You're going back but onto one side more than the other. Come up and back onto one side more than the other. As you are doing this, try to keep your shoulders and arms out of the equation. So you want your shoulders to stay level, your hands to stay still. This is pretty much as close as we can get to mimicking the movement we do on the horse when we are off the horse. Now my lawn isn't totally flat, so my shoulders aren't going to be completely flat. I'm also a little bit stiff and I've got a little bit of a grumbling hip problem, so I know I'm not quite as mobile as I could be. We're now going to change, so your legs are folded the other way, and do the same thing the other way. Now you may find that it completely changes how mobile you feel. You may not, but just keep focusing on going from back onto one seat bone and forwards and then back onto the other seat bone, keeping your shoulders level, keeping your hands soft and still. These two exercises, if you do nothing else in your day, these are the two most important exercises you can do, and you can practice them on any firm chair. Oops, completely bodged that one. I wouldn't recommend trying to do this in something soft. Okie doke, that's probably enough of those. Pop your arms across your chest. I'd like to go back to focusing on that nice equal pressure through your seat bones. And then you're turning from side to side. So now we're thinking pelvis is staying still and you're just moving through your spine instead. But again, focus on those shoulders staying level. We basically want to have a situation where it doesn't matter what is happening through our back and our pelvis and our legs. It doesn't interfere with our shoulder and arm position. That way, we have that truly independent seat and independent contact. Let's go back and cross the legs the other way again. Cross your arms the other way, and we'll just do a few to make sure you're really symmetric. Don't forget, if you really feel that symmetry is an issue for you, you can always access my Symmetry in the Saddle course. It's got 8 progressive sessions, just gradually working on improving your symmetry through movement and strength. Okay, one last one, shoulders level. Okay, then I'd like to bring your arms up and out into a V shape, and then gently arch your upper body and your arms backwards, and then come up. Just watch you do that, you don't kind of collapse backwards. You want to feel that every single vertebra is arching back and then coming up. Particularly if you've got any low back discomfort, you will really know if you get this wrong and you arch and you hinge backwards rather than collapse backwards, you'll really feel it. So by gently arching each vertebra in turn, you'll get it right. Okay, then bring your arms back down by your side. Make sure that your seat bones are nice and equal. Still got that elastic spine feeling. You're relaxed through your arms and hands. And we're going to leave it there for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found that really helpful. I hope that's given you some really useful little exercises that you can work on a regular basis, particularly these last little seated exercises. It's so key for getting that fine tune, that fine control. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. It's so great watching the numbers gradually creeping up, knowing that I'm helping more and more people around the world. Thank you for watching, and I will see you very soon.